Over the years, I've responded to a lot of questions about raising bilingual children. The truth is, some of these questions can often be very hard to answer, but I always try. And I try to think about these things in the most nuanced way I can, because when I write down my thoughts, this is how my own ideas about raising bilingual kids continue developing and deepening. So today I'd like to start a new series at this channel where I share my responses to questions posed by parents out in the world. And if you have a question about your family's particular situation, my personal experience with my own family, or something broader about raising bilingual kids, feel free to ask in a comment below, and I'll do my best to respond in a future video. I'm Adam Beck, and this is Bilingual Super Kids, the channel that can help you maximize your success and your joy raising bilingual or multilingual kids. The other day, I posted a video called The 5 Biggest Mistakes Parents Make Raising Bilingual Kids. If you haven't seen it yet, it's one of the most important videos at my channel, so I urge you to watch it. I mean, if it helps you avoid any of the major mistakes that parents often make, then the 10 minutes it takes to watch it could result in much happier success over the years of childhood. Below that video, I received a question from Christina in Ireland. She asked a brilliant question, but honestly, the brilliant questions are the hardest ones to answer, which means it's hard work to think them through carefully and craft my best response. But again, this is how I can grow in my own thinking. And so as hard as it is, I consider it a positive and productive challenge. So here was Christina's question in reaction to the 5 biggest mistakes parents make raising bilingual kids. In her comment, she wrote, "The difficulty with these mistakes is that none of them are yes or no, black or white. It can be hard to tell as a parent just how much you might be underestimating the amount of effort needed. Whether you are or aren't spending enough time with your kids, is any amount enough? How consistent you really are being in speaking the minority language. Whether the amount you're reading is enough, is any amount enough? Whether you have enough resources, again, is any amount really enough? So basically, how much effort is enough in these various ways to raise a bilingual child?" Before I share with you how I responded, you might want to ask yourself, how would you respond? What would you say if someone asked you this? Feel free to even pause this video if you like to reflect on your own thinking, and then hit play again to continue with my response. So here's how I responded to Christina's question. I'm reading it directly from what I wrote in the comments section below that video. Christina, many thanks for this important comment. Yes, the question of enough action goes to the heart of this whole challenge and is both very hard and very easy to answer. The hard part is, every family is different with different ideas of what success looks like for them. And enough action for one family may not be enough for another family to produce results that they themselves consider satisfying. This means that the question of sufficient action can't really be answered at all in a way that's concrete and universal for every family. But wait, here's the easy part. The litmus test for every family is this. Are you satisfied with the results you're getting? Are you experiencing the amount and pace of progress that you want? If not, you're not doing enough and you need to do more. It's that simple. And yet it isn't, because you can't even really consider this question until you're getting some results when the child starts communicating with you at the age of 2 or 3. At that point, you'll find out if the early results are satisfying to you or not. Unfortunately, this means that it's hard to know exactly how much effort is really needed from the start to produce the results that you want to be getting in 2 or 3 years. In other words, the question of shortchanging your efforts and making one or more of these 5 major mistakes can't really be measured, particularly by first-time parents with no previous experience at this, until you see some actual results. But of course, the problem is, by the time the child is speaking, the early results could be quite unsatisfying, with the child responding only in the majority language. And that will then make the aim of producing satisfying results even more challenging than it already is. The solution, as I see it, is to be as mindful and proactive as you realistically can be from the very start. In other words, I encourage parents to err on the side of caution and do all that you reasonably can in every one of these key areas until you experience the early results, the initial fruits of these efforts. Think of it this way. If you don't do enough in those first few formative years, the early results will probably be unsatisfying, and then course correcting the situation could be a substantial challenge. This is where coaching often comes in, to help parents get on track and then stay on track. Yet if you do too much, if you're more proactive than you even need to be to produce the results you want, I would argue that the upside of this is far better than any downside. In fact, since language development has no ceiling, there's no end to progress. You'll not only be producing the satisfying results you seek, you'll actually be fueling the strongest progress possible. So to me, erring on the side of action, even before the baby is born, is the most productive approach that ultimately generates the most satisfying results. And not only for language development, but also for your relationship with your child. Like I said, I know it's very difficult for parents to gauge if their actions are sufficient or not to produce the success they're seeking. But honestly, after interacting with thousands of families over the years, it generally isn't so hard for me to tell if parents are on track for that success or not. I just need to know the basic conditions of their situation, along with the degree of mindful action that they're now taking. That sort of insight is like a crystal ball into their future. That's why it saddens me when I talk to parents who have high hopes for their children's bilingual ability, and yet it's clear to me that they really aren't doing enough to produce the results that they want. I mean, I caution them and I offer my help, as I'm happy to help any parent, but they go on alone instead. My conclusion is that many parents are unable to clearly recognize the danger that they're in when it comes to their bilingual aim, thus this video. And then as time passes, they end up accepting diminished results or even abandoning their bilingual dream entirely. It didn't have to turn out that way. Thanks again for this compelling comment. I'm grateful for the chance to think out loud about this fundamental issue with you and with other parents who may read these words. I hope you found some useful food for thought from my perspective. So if you made it this far, I hope you also found some food for thought in my response. And again, if you have any questions about your family, questions about my family, or questions in general about raising bilingual kids, please ask them in a comment below and add your name and your location too. For example, Adam in Japan, originally from the US. And as always, if I can be of personal support to you and your family, I'm also happy to speak with parents directly. Just go to bilingualsuperkids.com to book a free strategy call with me. We can talk together on Zoom and I'll offer the best advice I can. Thank you for subscribing and liking and commenting and sharing this channel with other parents who might benefit from these videos too.